What am I doing here? Whatever.
All right. Hello, everyone. It says we're live. Its countdown is going. So sorry, we had a few technical difficulties there, but we are here. And I'm so excited to have Cori Watson talking with me today. I love your message. I just love you as an individual. You're so fun. And so it's an honor to have you here and to share your message with these ladies. But Cori coaches women on stepping into what it is to be a woman. And she mentions the trifecta of womanhood, which is motherhood or womanhood, motherhood, money, and making love. So with that, Cori, would you kind of tell us about yourself and we'll get this party started.
Yeah, okay. So I'm a mother. I'm a divorce. I'm actually divorced, so I'm like I can't tell you how to make marriages work, but I can certainly tell you what leads the path to divorce, and obviously, and making money and making love, and those are my three big topics that I love to talk about to help women through my experience, through my training, and whatnot. In my physical world, I'm a myofascial release massage therapist for the last 11 years I've been massaging. So the human body is also my jam. And I find that we leave so much of it out and we put it in somebody else's hands for authority. And it's time as women that we really reclaim our own bodies and start being the authorities to them. And that involves so many things. So
it does. I love that. So how, why do we as women do that? Could you kind of elaborate on what that means, like owning our own bodies as a woman versus letting it? How did you word that? Instead of handing it out to someone else or looking for someone else to?
Yeah, and I mean it starts in childhood, right? Because obviously tiny humans can't survive without an adult. And so things happen in childhood and we're conditioned, whatever our parents' mindsets are of maybe the doctor knows better than you do, and maybe the dentist knows better than you, and mommy knows better than you, and daddy knows better than you, and everybody knows better than you. And that's just like from a child perspective. And then once you get into like a woman's body and how sexualized it is from a young age, and how much as women we're supposed to like be the gatekeepers to pleasure and to everything. And so we're told, no, cover up, cover all of this, protect yourself, do all of this. Depending what your culture is or whatever, don't have sex till marriage, and it's wrong and it's a sin and it's all of these things. And all of a sudden you're supposed to get married, and now all of a sudden you're just supposed to like sex. But our body has never felt like our own because nobody has taught us about our body. Some women don't even get conversations about their menstrual period. So they enter into womanhood all scared, or whatever their mother's hangups are, or their fathers or brothers. And it's just a big thing of like, we look outside of ourselves, we look to magazine, we look to media, we look to books, we look to everything about how our body's working, instead of like, what is my body trying to tell me? And we're often taught to go to our mind to figure it out, when in reality, we just have to learn the language of the body and say like, this is my body and I feel things, but I don't know what they are. And I'm willing to investigate them or look elsewhere so that I'm the one in charge of my body, not somebody else.
Yeah.
Somebody doesn't get to tell me what I feel and what I don't feel.
Exactly. And being a mother, I'll say firsthand, like I've had to catch myself as our kids, discover things where I don't do that conditioned response of don't do that. Nope. That's, how we do that as parents.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize until probably past couple of years that I almost felt like being intimate with my body was almost like cheating. And how sad is that? You know what I mean? Like you get this idea that don't do that. Do you see that a lot, or am I kind of?
It does. I think. I won't speak for the generation coming up. I think they're a lot more open. But I know, like my age group, and so I'm 44. Like we never talked about masturbation. We never talked about self-pleasure. We never talked about any of those things And I didn't even know how to masturbate. There wasn't allowed or talked about. I grew up in a very sexually open family, but masturbation was never talked about. And everything I read in Cosmo magazine, I couldn't make my parts work. I didn't know how they worked.
Right.
And I felt the same way when I was married. It's like, I can't do this. Like, this is wrong. Like, I got married at 24, so it's not like I was super young, but not super old. Like,
Right.
and it's not like I came in as a naive, like, never having any sexual experience, but I didn't understand self-pleasure in the way that I do now. And I'm guilty, I can say, of my ex-husband, that I didn't understand his self-pleasure either. And I don't think we get enough education about what it is or what it means or what it can be or what. And it's so left out of the conversations.
It is 100%. And yeah, I mean, even until I became more educated, I would think of like masturbation as I'm not enough, or he's not enough, or, like putting worth on your own, like what you do with yourself. It's crazy after you think about it, but it's so common. So where do you start with when you are working with your clients? Where do you start when it comes to the trifecta of womanhood?
Well, I like to start by explaining, everybody has this idea that motherhood is this like warm feminine energy and we're nurturing and we're loving. And I like to start with mothering is not feminine in any way. Like when you're pregnant, it's a feminine energy because you have new life inside of you and you're filled up with light and love and you're just, being this radiant being. But the second you push that child out, you now protect for the child, you provide for the child, you do everything for the child. And it switches into this more masculine energy, which, and I mean, I don't know how familiar your audience is with masculine and feminine, and they're not male or female. They're just different qualities of energy. And masculine is more like provider and protector. And yeah, you're fueled by a feminine energy, but this is a whole new feminine energy when you have a tiny human to keep alive. And it's like we switch from like this maiden to now this fierce protector warrior, like do not harm my child. And in doing so, either the man or husband, partner, whatever, has to expand with us so that there's a little space between us so that when we come together, the woman can switch into a different type of energy so the two can have polarity again. So you have to, number one, be aware of that. And then be aware of like, where else are you masculine? Because if you're working and you're providing for your family an income, providing extra income, you're also in masculine energy. And so then again, it makes you more masculine. And I haven't met too many men who love to step into a more feminine, laid back kind of receiving kind of role when you get to the bedroom. Like I'm not even sure I've met any heterosexual. And that's primarily what I'm talking about. That's usually who I work with more so I don't want to like confuse gender relationships or anything. But in order for the passion, there needs to be polarity. Right. But if you're never out of mother mode, and he never provides you the space to get out of mother mode, it makes it really hard to come back together to fix that relationship.
Yeah.
And in order to be the sexual woman, you need to be 100% fully selfish to be like, whoa, like this is what I need in order to transition, to go through the whole cycle of energy from masculine back into a feminine, to be ready and open to join with you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And I never even thought of it that way. But it 100%.
So I always start with awareness, because without awareness, there's no choice. You're just default into your primal energy, and a primal energy of a mother is, well, it's masculine. You go look out in the wild animal kingdom, your unconscious side is I'm just going to provide and protect. And everybody, including the one that got me pregnant, is a potential threat to my baby.
Right. Yeah.
And then as women, we train our bodies when they're infants to be that way. So if you never retrain your body that this is safe, I just need to learn how to transition from one energy to the next. And then once we get it through their head, then I start to help, like, what are some different transition exercises, and what are the different things that we can do?
Right. And I feel like there's so much shame around pleasure. And even if it's not like spoken about, like I love talking about this stuff, and I used to be so uncomfortable. Like it used to make I used to like get all like flustered and embarrassed, but that's because I looked at sex and sexuality as a negative. It was a very negative trauma in my life in many different ways, and I didn't realize that I was carrying that with me through 10 years of marriage. You know, like I had this unconscious story that I was telling myself where I had the wall up, and I was just preparing myself to be hurt in the way that I was hurt before. So how do we as women step away from that shame around us wanting, like, it's okay to ask for what you want? I think a lot of women would be scared. I was scared, like, to be able to say what I wanted, to even know what I wanted in the first place, you know, like.
Yeah, I know myself, like I didn't know what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I didn't know specifically what I wanted. And I guess it's a bit of an experiment to be asking what you want, and to say, like, we need to experiment with different touches too, right? And to know that if your partner's been with other people prior to you, not every woman's built the same. So what works for this woman is not going to work with this woman, and what works today may not work tomorrow. And it's like this game of like cat and mouse. And I think we release the shame by acknowledging that, to be like, I don't even know what's going to work today. Like, I'm still surprised to be like, didn't even see that coming. And then you need to be able to, like, I believe you need to be able to find people you can talk about it with. Like, I was always comfortable talking about sex until my sex drive disappeared after babies. Mm-hmm. And then it completely flipped. And then not only did I not want to talk about it, I didn't want to have sex, but of course I wanted to be a good wife. Right. So I kept having sex, right? Because that's what he needed. Or at least that's the story I told him myself. We never actually talked completely about what it was. And what I needed was nothing in the bedroom. What I needed was more help outside of the bedroom so I could transition. But I didn't know that's what I needed. And it's almost like I had to go through everything so that I could discover where the breakdown in the energetic system of a couple and stuff happens, which is where I've gone since being divorced for 11 years.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. And I just think you just give off this energy that's inviting and welcoming and give a safe space. And so that's why I love what you do so much. Like, women need that. I imagine, like, I've been in groups that are talking about intimacy, and I am like the fly on the wall, like, not quite sure where to go with it. But once, it's such a beautiful container once you have established, you know, like, nope, you're safe here. This is what happens here. And so I really want to applaud you for what you're doing, because it's incredible.
Well, thank you. And I think safety is the biggest thing, right? I mean, not only is safety, like, when we're talking about it, but usually it's the safety piece in the bedroom that prevents us from like, whatever their hangups are. And men are no better at talking about, like, the deeper stuff in sex, right? And the safety piece, because they don't understand that. They're just trying to, like, make things work. They don't understand what presence is and what what cultivating a safe feeling inside themselves may look like or feel like to them. And so it's a case of finding that. But I always tell women, like, you don't need to include your man if you don't want to, or if he doesn't want to. Like, my partner's not a growth oriented person at all, but me opening up and exploring, and then occasionally sharing with him, just naturally spilled over, and he's naturally changed along the way to the point where he's like, I don't know what happened. Like, and so the more we become safe in our own bodies, and that's where it starts, right? Mm-hmm. We need safety in the bedroom, but if you don't feel safe in your own body, if you don't trust your own body, if you don't what's what I'm looking for. If you don't feel safe in letting go, like of making weird noises, of like maybe making a stupid face, or like weird, just all the different things that happen with a body when it actually lets go. It looks and sounds weird, and there can be all sorts of fluids, or there could be all sorts of different things. And we're like trying to brace for impact, which is the exact opposite of what you'd want in the bedroom.
Yeah. You're not even going to believe this when I tell you, but I did not have an orgasm until I was 30 years old.
I totally believe that. Was that an orgasm with your partner or by yourself?
Well, I didn't even know like how to masturbate until like 9 months ago.
How exciting though, because
I know. And I'll be like, people are like blown away by it, but I thought it was like, I just thought that wasn't something that I could have, whether it was my meds or that's just me. Like, I didn't realize that not orgasming once or multiple times, it's all here. It's all here.
Yeah, and it's a lot of learning to let go. And people ask, well, because I didn't have, like, I always enjoyed sex, like prior to children, and then I didn't. And then I came back and I didn't have orgasms while having sex until I was divorced. And so we've been together 8 years. So until that, but it wasn't sex, and it wasn't like anything specific that taught me how to let go. It was actually massage school that I was able to put the pieces together.
Oh, interesting.
And it's really about learning to feel the sensations in your body. And I would just notice in massage school, I was exhausted. It was my divorce therapy, basically. I had 4 young children, and I'd go away once a month to go 3 hours away to go to take the physical classes. So I'd be exhausted by the time I got there anyways. So as soon as the wonderful thing about massage therapy is half the time you spend on a table being a practice body. And so I would just, rather than try to figure out what my partner was doing and the different strokes or techniques they're doing, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to chill. Like, I don't care, whatever, do whatever we're doing. And when it's my turn, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But I noticed when I stopped caring, and I was just like, you know what? Maybe I'll just sleep while you do this. I started having way more sensations. And then I was like, oh, well, this is interesting. I've never felt these things, and just these little like electric shocks and stuff. So when I did, even 3 years later, when I finally got together with my partner, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to try that method to be like, it's okay. You're safe. It's okay to let go, and just learn to breathe and be like, I'm just going to like, just go with it. And to try to cultivate that same mindset I had on the massage table of like, whatever happens, happens. And slowly over time, more sensations. And then, I mean, obviously my other stuff came into play, the jade egg and some other stuff. And then things opened up much bigger. But it started with just in massage therapy, learning to just trust who was ever working on me just to do their thing.
That's awesome. Yeah. How cool. Like, it's amazing how things come up in our lives that kind of bring things full circle in an offset way of what that thing's supposed to do. You know, it's so neat. But Cori, could you tell these ladies, because I guarantee there are women in here watching this that may not have commented, may not comment, but where could they find you? And can you kind of describe the space that you create for people that want to learn more with you?
So probably right now, the best place to find me is Instagram at The Ignited Path. That's where you'll find me the most. I'm occasionally on Facebook, kind of. Me and Facebook have a different relationship. I'm in the process of getting a Facebook group started. So I do have the links on my personal wall on Facebook. It's just, I'm not exactly active there, but yeah, for sure, Instagram, I'm there in stories and stuff. And anybody that ever wants to DM me, I understand that the stuff that I post doesn't always warrant commenting on my wall. I'm always open to DMs if people have further questions and whatnot. So those are always open to people.
Awesome. And then one last thing for the woman who's watching this and may not even be aware that she may need help in this area or work in this area may help. What are some questions that she could ask herself internally to kind of get that idea going? Does that question make sense? I feel like sometimes we don't even know that there's something that we're lacking in our lives or that could be more fulfilling until we realize, like, okay, how do you perceive this? Or am I feeling this?
I'm not sure if there'd be a question. It's like, is it important to you? If it's important to you and it's important, or it's important to your partner and you're clashing about it,
right?
Then there's something more to explore there. If you and your partner are both great and you've never had a fight about your sex life, well, then you probably don't have a problem with it. And not everybody has a problem. Some people just be like, it's great, and I want something different. And I'm curious what else I can feel. Like maybe you can have an orgasm during sex. And maybe you're curious, like, well, how can I become multi-orgasmic? Because I think it's available to any woman that is curious. If you're curious and there's a spark of interest, it's there. It's not like it's a big chore. And then don't put pressure on yourself that it has to look any certain way.
Right.
And talk to somebody. Like, it's mostly like how we judge ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, if you're happy with what's taking place and your partner's happy, then there's no problem, and keep doing what you're doing. If you're burnt out and you're yelling at your kids all the time and you just want to go to sleep and you're focused solely on work, ask yourself why that is. When you've got a partner here, like what makes you and your partner's relationship different than you and your best girlfriend?
Yeah.
What is it? And then go from there and see what questions pop up into your head.
Totally.
Or what you feel in your body.
Yeah. And when you say, like, it's possible for anyone, like, I learned how to have multiple orgasms, and it is like the best thing since sliced bread. So it is possible, ladies. So don't doubt yourself. And that's coming from someone who just really felt what one was, 3 years ago. So, and it's just accepting, like you said, it's surrendering and trusting that you're safe within yourself. And I think it kind of just snowballs after that.
It does. And trust your body. Like your body won't do anything to hurt itself.
Right.
So if you allow your mind just to either go quiet or let it chatter, but just be like, hey, isn't that interesting? There goes my mind again. And to refocus is, oh, but what sensation do I feel? Challenge your mind. What sensation do I feel? It wants to do the laundry list. What sensations do I feel? As if you're two different personalities, and bring it back to the body all the time. It's almost like you steer it back to feeling.
Totally. Yeah. Oh, lady, I could talk for hours. With you on this. And I just appreciate you coming in here so much. And if anyone has questions, I 1000% say Cori. I trust Cori with all of my people. So don't hesitate to reach out to her.
Yeah, and even if they tag me in your group, I'm happy to, if you're okay with it, I'm happy to answer whatever questions are in the group. Because usually if one person has a question, probably about 15 other people have the exact same question.
Totally. Yes. So. No. And share your handle or whatever you have on the post. And if people are asking questions, sister, even if there's questions like in the group, whatever, you're the expert on that. I am by no means any expert. I have a lot to learn, but no, I think I love what you're doing, and keep shining, because it's definitely needed. It's definitely needed.
Thank you. It's always good to hear that. I always hear it's needed. And then I keep waiting for people to ask questions and waiting.
Yeah. And it comes to that point where you're just like, I've had enough. Like, There is something more. I'm worthy of learning how to do it. And it's, like I said, it's literally your mind probably blocking you. And it's just,
It is. And to know that it keeps getting better with age. Like if my 20-something-year-old self knew what I know now, she'd be like, what? I thought you were dead after 30. Like,
right. Exactly.
I thought after you had kids and you like turned 30, like, like if you don't get like all your sexiness in your 20s, like it's just over. Like,
yeah, no, farthest thing from the truth.
Yeah. So,
well,
there's hope for every age.
Yes, there is. There is. You're never too old.
Absolutely.
All right, darling. Well, thanks again. And if anyone has questions, reach out to Cori. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.
Bye.